The long and grueling campaign is over. Months of research, coding, testing, and writing have culminated in this moment, and silence finally falls on the battlefield of your dissertation. You are exhausted. The finish line is entirely visible, but standing between you and a completed degree is the blank page of your conclusion chapter. At this exact moment of fatigue, a common trap snaps shut. The temptation is to write a simple chronological diary entry of what you just survived. First I did this, then I did that, and finally I wrote the code. Submitting a linear laundry list of completed tasks strips the academic weight from your months of effort. It tells the examiner what happened, but it avoids examining the quality, meaning, and validity of that work. To write a high-scoring conclusion, you must abandon the survivor's diary. Instead, treat this chapter as an executive counsel, a space that moves past pure description and rigorously weighs every decision and outcome generated by your project. To secure a top grade, the conclusion must answer the question that defines the project's academic worth. So what? You are here to weigh the significance of your results against the original scope of your work. This executive counsel begins by interrogating the weapons you chose for the campaign, the specific methods, tools, and software you deployed to build your project. There is a strict rule here. You cannot merely name-drop the frameworks or list the equipment you pulled off the shelf. You have to critically assess how those tools actually performed when placed under the intense pressure of real-world research. Did a specific API bottleneck your data collection? Did a qualitative survey format yield the depth you needed? This requires methodological justification. Why this path and not another? You need to weigh the methods you chose against the alternatives you discarded, showing exactly where those other options would have failed under the specific weight of your requirements. Ultimately, you must articulate whether your chosen instruments were precise enough to cut through the problems you set out to solve, and whether they directly helped you achieve your original objectives. Subjecting your tools to this level of scrutiny proves to the examiner that your project's success was the direct result of deliberate academic strategy, not a stroke of blind luck. Once the tools are evaluated, the council must turn its attention to the battle itself, specifically the strategic failures, the inherent limitations, and the unexpected roadblocks you hit along the way. A weak student will instinctively try to hide their flaws, hoping the examiner won't notice. A master brings their failures directly into the light, dissecting them with authority. There is a precise 3-step framework for analyzing any roadblock. First, identify the root cause of the failure. Second, explain the tactical pivot you made to bypass it. And third, measure how that reroute impacted your final data. Analyzing those specific failures naturally leads to a much broader synthesis, your overarching personal and academic learning experience over the lifespan of the project. In an academic conclusion, learning is not a sentimental reflection on how hard you worked. It is a documented shift in how you, as a researcher, now understand your specific field compared to when you started. Owning failures and articulating how they evolved your perspective provides the clear evidence of critical synthesis and academic maturity your examiner is looking for. Through this process of evaluation, you have become the person most familiar with the specific friction points of this research. You have intimate knowledge of where your findings end and the unknown begins. Those limitations and roadblocks you just admitted to are useful data points. They mark the boundary where your research ends and the next set of questions begins. You must use these boundaries to recommend specific, actionable future developments. Point out exactly where the next researcher should pick up the torch, based directly on the gaps you identified in your own work. To help initiate these forward-looking recommendations, you can use academic sentence starters. Think of them as adaptable prompts designed to help you structure your insights. The key is to use these prompts to construct a complex argument, adapting them to your specific findings. They are a foundation, not a fill-in-the-blank exercise for formulaic copying. As you write these final paragraphs, you must close the loop, restate your original aim, summarize your major findings, and declare whether objectives were achieved. A masterful dissertation closes the door on your personal journey while opening a new one for the next researcher. By evaluating your work honestly, you provide the precise coordinates needed to advance the field.